Today is Saturday, July 11th. It's kind of cold and rainy out, and given the kind of things I'm going to be talking about, maybe the weather fits the subject matter, I don't know. But I haven't done a video in over a year. I did a video in the summer of 2019 for our AlphaOmegaLabs customers to talk to them about the censorship issue, which was the big deal at that time because there are certain mail services, for instance Yahoo and AOL, and if you use them, you will not get mail from us. Our whole entire server has been blocked, so which is why we were recommending that you get a mail service that doesn't go through your mail, doesn't censor it. When someone sends you an email, you'll actually receive the mail that was sent to you. So that was a subject matter, the use of algorithms by Google and others in big tech to block us, so it was becoming increasingly difficult to even find us. That was an issue, and I talked about that a year ago. Obviously, we live now in a world that is completely different than the world we lived in the last time I did one of these videos. So I want to talk about that because it affects how our company operates and what our relationship is going to be with our customers. First of all, the separate issues of the COVID and all of this social unrest, I'll get to that in a moment, but I want to talk first about the effects on supply lines. I realized this was an issue a few days ago. We have a customer, he's actually a wholesaler, and he's a trucker. He travels all over the United States with his little dog, and he was lamenting the fact he had a friend that was just murdered by some combination of Black Lives Matter and Antifa. I mean murdered. The guy's dead. Because they're now shooting at trucks. They're now opening fire on truckers. This guy was killed near the Arizona-New Mexico border. Because they want to completely close down supply lines in the United States. And this is why you're seeing certain foods you're used to getting in the supermarket, they're no longer available. You're seeing all kinds of things going on that are indicative of decreasing food supplies and increasing problems with getting the things you're normally used to buying. I didn't really attribute this so much to politics, but then it became inescapable because of something that happened to me just 3 days ago. Let me tell you what happened. I live in Cuenca, Ecuador. We've got this cafe called Sunrise Cafe. It's on Calle Larga in Cuenca. And I had a business meeting, so I walk into the restaurant, and what I see is an older gentleman. He's 70 years old, and he's browbeating this kid. I say kid. Someone my age, anyone under 30 years old is a kid, okay? And this kid had these flyers that he was handing out, talking about, all written in Spanish, of course, talking about COVID and the different things you can do to help to take to ameliorate it, and don't get caught up in all the fear porn, etc., etc. It's got a few other things, and this elderly gentleman who was 70 years old was just livid. One of the things I talked about, for instance, was the ridiculousness of wearing masks. I mean, which is truly ridiculous, and I'll get to mask wearing in a moment. So I'm observing this. I'm just a third-party observer of it all. And then I kind of jump in. I said, well, why are you down-talking this kid? It's true. The masks are completely unnecessary. The virus is not even contagious. And people who have really taken the time to study this understand this. This guy goes livid. He's, who in the hell do you think you are? Do you realize I have a bachelor's and a master's and a PhD in chemistry and biology and blah, 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 blah. I'm one of the most knowledgeable people about biology and virology and anywhere in South America. He's going on and on, just on about his pedigree. And I said, well, I feel sorry for you then, because then you've been miseducated, because the things that you're saying are not true. I really don't care how many degrees you've got. And you can just see the veins or arteries popping out of this guy's neck. He was absolutely livid. And as he got up to leave the restaurant, and as he got to the door, he turns to me and he says, You've got to be one of those fucking Trump supporters. Wow. Wow. Just for the record, I'm not a supporter of anything. I'm like Gerald Celente, the famous trends forecaster. I'm a political atheist. And right now, I don't think anybody is serving the interests in the land of my birth. Democrats, Republicans, libertarians, I don't care what the hell they call themselves. Who's actually out there really doing something for the people? Who? Trump supporter. Let me tell you something. If the black conservative speaker, writer, Candace Owens were to run for president, I'd vote for Candace Owens before I'd vote for Donald Trump. I'd vote for Tucker Carlson, a Fox News celebrity, before I'd vote for Donald Trump. Only because they represent my values. I don't care if somebody's white or black, whatever. I vote for whoever represents values that are important to me. I don't care about someone's background. But that was illuminating for me. It was just absolutely stunning to me. But it sheds light on something even more important, that there's a strong political component of this where politics is actually influencing science, empirical facts. We've entered a world I don't even understand. And I'll tell you right now, I think the world is going to get considerably worse. We've got something on our website called the Prepper Corner, where you can start building supplies you would need to have your own natural pharmacy, because things are going to get bad to a point where not only will food be much more appreciated than it is now, the value of food, but also the value of natural medicines. I recommend that you stock up. This is not going to go away. This is going to get worse. Sad to say, I wish otherwise. Let's get to this issue of mask wearing. I can't believe people could possibly be this stupid. The human body breathes an average of 20,000 times a day. If you treat inhalation and expiration as two separate functions, you could say that the human body performs 40,000 separate pulmonary acts per day. You inhale to get fresh air, it's approximately 22% oxygen, and you exhale to get rid of the CO2, as well as bacteria, viruses, fungus, and other cellular debris. If I had a petri dish right here and I blow into a petri dish, I'm exhaling like I do 20,000 times a day, and you took that to a lab to see what was in the agar in that petri dish, you'd find bacteria, viruses, which are just exosomes. Viruses are not living beings. There's RNA wrapped in protein. It's not. They're not even reproducible. They're not separate organisms. You don't have species named for all these different viruses. You have names for. Oh my God, they're not reproducible. Here's an interesting fact. You have everyone using hand wash and everything else because everyone's concerned about antiseptics. Here's two factoids that the media will never tell you. Number one, you can't kill something if it was never alive. And the second one is, you can't kill something if it's already dead. Can't kill something if it was never alive, and can't kill something if it was already dead. So all this antiseptic stuff that's going on is just plain ridiculous. The other thing that's interesting about the mask wearing is that when you wear a mask, the air quality of what you're breathing, what's going in, what you're intaking, wouldn't even meet OSHA or EPA's own guidelines for what constitutes a fresh air. It's hazardous air. You're breathing hazardous air all the time. We're going to have a cascade of diseases, respiratory diseases and other problems as a result of the fear factor, keeping people in a constant state of stress as a result of all this COVID nonsense. And secondly, you're going to have enormous problems that are the result of people not breathing properly. When did people forget that it's important to be able to breathe? When did people forget that? When did people get talked into thinking that somehow you could wear a mask for hours and hours a day and it's okay? And now you have a presidential candidate named Joe Biden, who says if he becomes president, people will be required, it's the law, to wear face masks whenever they're in public. This is insane. It's a level of insanity I can't even begin to comprehend. It's just crazy. And to think that certain people believe this because of politics, like the science behind this is not important. You're going to base your beliefs about medicine because of politics? It's absolutely insane. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the race thing bothers me. Like, I can't believe it's unbelievably stupid. Prior to the modern age, prior to the Age of Enlightenment, we had a period that was referred to as the Dark Ages. And the Dark Ages were called dark for a reason. And what you had throughout all of Europe was you had a system of feudalism where people grew their crops and the king could take whatever he wanted at any time. And so life was hard. You were a serf. You were a commoner. You were a serf. And I can't think of anything more that describes slavery than you're trying to grow crops to support yourself and your family, and what you grow can be taken away from you at any time. And it was. There are quite a number of books out right now about white slavery and how prominent white slavery is. And even in the United States, because the reason that this whole thing is going on is supposedly because of injustice against black people. Well, here's a simple fact of the matter. White slavery was every bit as prominent a feature of early America as black slavery was. The truth of the matter is, the truth doesn't matter in the United States anymore, but let's assume for a moment that truth, historical facts had some meaning. The fact of the matter is that the agricultural South was built on the backs of poor black people, and the industrial North was built on the backs of white slaves, millions and millions of them. White slavery built America. Which, by the way, let's talk about what America is, because I think people have lost the idea of what America is. You went to, my mother was half Hungarian, very proud of her Hungarian heritage, and if you went to Budapest and you started knocking over their monuments and you started saying we need to do something about Hungarian privilege, that and you started shooting people, the Hungarian government would call in security forces, and if they didn't kill you first, they would, well, it wouldn't be good. At the very least, you'd be kicked out of the country. Same thing in Warsaw. I have a business associate in Warsaw. You went to Poland and you started talking about we need to put an end to Polish privilege in a country that's 98% Poles. In Hungary, the same thing, about 98 to 99%. It wouldn't be good. At the very least, they'd take your sorry ass and they'd probably throw you over the border into Germany. Okay? That's what would happen to you if they didn't outright kill you first. Well, here's an important question. Are there people in the United States that are to the U.S. what Hungarians are to Hungary, and Poles are to Poland, and Finns are to Finland, and Norwegians are to Norway? Are there people in the United States that would fit that description? And the answer is yes, they are. They're more heterogeneous, but there are. And they're called white people. The United States is 76% white. 24% is everybody else, despite one of the most liberal immigration policies imaginable over the last 200 years. Despite all that immigration, white people constitute 76% of the population. And this is not a comment about speaking ill whatsoever of the other people that are there, okay? God loves variety in his gardens. The whole purpose of sexual reproduction is to provide for genetic variety. So this is not about favoring one race over another, but the very foundation of America is white people. It's a fact. It's a demographic fact. So this entire race war thing, that whatever it is, this nonsense that's going on with Antifa and Black Lives Matter and all that, it's nonsense. It's an attack on America itself. You go into a country, I don't care what country it is, you go into a country and you declare war on a statistical cohort that constitutes 76% of the people in that country, that's a declaration of war on the country itself. I know most of you have had the misfortune of attending an American university, don't have a grasp on mathematics anymore, but I guess you'll have to take my word for it when I tell you that 76% is a fairly sizable majority. I wish I didn't have to get into this, but I do. I don't see this getting any better, and I think if you're not already preparing for worse things to come, I think you should. Most of that's going to be nothing that I can sell you. You need to find local suppliers of storable food stocks, things that are tradable, things that have value. Make sure you have all your tools. Start learning how to garden, start learning how to grow your own things. We grow everything here for ourselves. We have extensive gardens. I could eat out of it if I have to, not that I always do now, but if I have to, I can eat out of the gardens. I can eat from what I grow. You better be moving in that direction. And as far as the things that we do here at AlphaOmegaLabs, I would buy whatever stock that you need, because I can't honestly say we're going to be in business in 6 months. I can't honestly say that. I don't know. It's possible, but this is looking really dicey. Really, really dicey. This is a far more urgent situation than when I posted my last general topic video a year ago, and I just hope that you're all have an eye on what's coming. I do have a continual blog. I knew that something big was coming down the pike, and I began a daily blog. I make posts every day. Some bloggers post once a month, twice a month, 3 times. I post daily. We'll put a link at the bottom so you can see what you have the link to the latest comments that I have on current developments. But and if you are listening to the mainstreaming for your information, like CNN, particularly CNN and MSNBC, you deserve what's coming. Okay, you got a big spanking coming, and you're going to get it because you were dumb enough to listen to these people, dumb enough to listen to fake news and think that there was anything real about it. The best source of news you can get is people you know. They're people who are your friends, people who would cover your back. Where do I get most of my information? I get it from real people. I don't get it from people who earn millions of dollars a year to get on TV and lie their ass off. I don't listen to them. I listen to people who are like me, ordinary people who are in the States, who have their eyes and ears open, and I know they will not lie to me. They will tell me exactly what they're seeing, exactly what they are observing, what's going on in their community, so that I have a real snapshot at any given time of exactly what's going on. I would never think for a moment to take anything that I see on TV, radio, newspaper, and actually take that as being a fact. It's all fake. You know, I wrote a book in 2017. It's called The Joys of Psychopathocracy. And one of the arguments that I make in the book, and I think it's a pretty solid polemic, an argument I make is, the purpose of the news is not to inform you. It's to test your stupidity and measure your gullibility. And sure enough, that's what we're seeing now. This is a measure of people's stupidity. Think about that for a minute. The people that rule your world have a very simple principle they live by. Okay? Your stupidity confers my right to rule. And they devote enormous resources to keeping people stupid. And when you listen to the television, you are doing exactly what they want you to do. You are programmed. There's a reason why they call it programming. 1976, Jerry Mander wrote a book called 4 Arguments for the Elimination of Television. And one of his arguments is that television is a programming tool to get people to believe in things that are against their own interest. This guy was a big deal on Madison Avenue, a very successful executive, and he got to a point where he said, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. I know what's going on here. I can't do this. Jerry Mander's book, Yeah, it's 45 years old, but it's just as true today as the day he wrote it. So, protect your mind. There's nothing more important than protecting the things that go into your mind, the sources of the information you get. Okay? Don't allow people who don't have your best interests at heart to poison your mind with things that are just not true. That's the best advice I can think to give. We love you all. We appreciate the fact that you've allowed us to do what we do for the last 30 years. We couldn't have done it without you. And it's all the more important to us that you've, from the many people whose lives we have saved because of our products and our advice, that you told others that support us. We don't advertise. You can't find any advertising out there for what we do. The only thing that has sustained us and allow us to do what we do is you and people like you. People that were grateful that for the help that they got, and they passed it on. They passed it on by telling others, hey, you need to call these guys. They know what they're doing. They'll help cure you of this, that, or the other thing. Whatever it is that they have, whatever condition they happen to be treating. So we appreciate what you have done for us for the last 30 years. And this is the best advice that I can give you. Pay attention to what's going on. Be careful who you listen to. Keep close to you those that you trust, friends, family, people who in their communities will tell you what's happening. That's a far better source of information, of news, than you'll get from any media source. We're more than halfway through 2020. And it pains me to say this, but I think that the last half of 2020 will be even more chaotic than the first half. We love you all, and God bless you.